the Rambler Network.
Step right up, ladies and gents, a show for the ages, a spectacle of silent silver. Gather around, folks, don't be shy. A real humdinger of a picture awaits. Thrills, chills, and plenty of laughs. From the golden days of flickering reels and grand Nickelodeons comes a program most extraordinary. A real corker of a show, a top-notch talkie about a world with no talk at all. It's Casablanca Silent Treatment. I said in the last episode that I think if you have to be vulgar to be funny, you're not funny. Well, this film, Safety Last, is a prime example of how you can be entirely hilarious without being vulgar. Which, I have so many examples that would fit there, but since I said that in the last episode and this is a comedy, I'm going to use it here. In fact, 3 minutes into this movie, I was laughing so hard I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. It literally starts with Harold Lloyd and his girlfriend, and his girlfriend played by Mildred Davis. It looks like so it starts out with a fake out. It looks like he's in prison about to be executed because the way that it's framed. There, you see them through bars. You see him through bars, and behind him it looks like there's a hangman's noose, and he looks kind of upset, and like his girlfriend's crying, and then she like runs around, and then she hugs him, and then it shows outside, and it turns out they're at the train station, and yeah, it was just very clever the way that they framed that to make it look like an execution, and he was just on his way to the big city to get a job. And it was just like one gag after the other. Like he's saying goodbye to his girlfriend, and he looks behind him, the train's right there behind him, so he says his last words, and like he's not looking, the train takes off, and so like he reaches behind him as a horse-drawn carriage comes by, and it picks him up, and he thinks he's on the train, and then the carriage is going the other direction, and the train's going the other direction, and he's all waving at them, and he looks, notices he's on the horse-drawn carriage and jumps off of it and runs to catch up to the train. That's all within like the first 2 or 3 minutes. And this film is just like one gag after the other, and Harold Lloyd's character, he just has so much bad luck. It's just like everything is he keeps getting into these situations. Like at one point at the beginning of the movie, he's bragging about how he's always early for work, and like his boss, he's there at the job site, and like his boss or someone is like, "Hey, what are you doing here early?" It's like, "Oh, I don't want to be late," or whatever he says, and then he's like, "Oh, well, that's good for you." So then like he's standing there, and then he sits down on the back of a truck, and then the people don't see them, and they close the truck and they take off and drive him all over town, and so he ends up being late, but he like sneaks in, and there's so much. There's actually one point I actually filmed the screen and posted on TikTok where I was like, this is what it's like working in retail. And this is over 100 years ago. This movie came out over 100 years ago. It came out in 1923. And there's a scene where, so he's working at a place called Devore Department Store. And there's a scene where a lady wants to look at patterns, and so he pulls one out, and then it cuts ahead where there's like a massive pile on the counter, and she's looking at them, and then she goes, Actually, I think I like the first one you showed me, and then he just like it does a close up of him, and he like kind of looks at the camera, kind of annoyed, jumps over the counter, and like pulls out from the very bottom of the pile, the first one, and she's like, and like pulls out a section, and he goes cut it, and she goes, no, 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 just a sample. Kind of gives her an annoyed look, and then he snips off the tiny corner and hands it to her. And throws the scissors down. I was like, this came out over 100 years ago, and that feels so relatable as a retail worker. But I should have waited to film to post something on YouTube, on TikTok, because there's a scene later where it's absolute chaos, where like there's so many customers at the counter screaming at him, and they like rip off his coat and his tie and everything, and just trying to get his attention, trying to be like, me, it's me, the main character, it's me, mine. It's basically, and um, yeah, this scene is just like one gag after the other, and it's hilarious. It is on YouTube. I will link to it on the I think everything this season, almost everything this season is public domain and it's on YouTube, and I will link everything. But I will still say that because I know not everybody looks without being told. However, if you've ever heard of Safety Last, or if you haven't heard of Safety Last, you have heard of Safety Last. It includes a shot that is probably one of the most famous shots of the silent film era. So he's trying to, the whole plot basically is he's trying to get, he moves to the city so he can make a lot of money so that him and his girlfriend can get married. And the whole movie, he keeps lying to her, saying that like, oh, I made it, I'm very successful here, and he like spends all of his money buying her these really extravagant, fancy, expensive like jewelry and chains and stuff. Meanwhile, he's suffering, and she's like, oh, he's successful. Look at this chain he bought me at Tiffany's, and so he realizes that, well, she comes to visit him, and he plays it up, and it somehow works, and he overhears his boss saying, oh, we need to find a way to get sales up and get people coming in, because people aren't coming in. I will give $1,000 to whoever can get more people in. And Harold Lloyd's like, wait, I have an idea. And he has a friend early in the film who just casually climbs the building. And so he's like, I have an idea. And then he tells his friend, like, hey, I'll give you $500. It's like half of the prize money if you climb this building. And he's like, oh, okay. But then there's like a whole other storyline going on with between his friend and this cop. And it's kind of funny because there's like kind of multiple storylines. Like, it's not like a major I mean, it is major to the story, but like it cuts to it so seldom that you almost forget about it. But then whenever you see him, it's like, oh, it's that cop. And he has a full story arc. Like, that side character to the side character has a full arc. And it's interesting that like he's given like a full character. He's not just like a blank slate cop, like every cop. He has a character and a storyline and an arc and motivations and everything. And so like his friend, he can't climb it because the cop's right there. And so Harold goes to climb the building, and his friend's like, you only have to climb one story because I'll meet you up there, and then we'll swap out and nobody will even notice. And Harold's like, okay, just one floor? Okay, I got it. But he gets there, and the cop, and basically he just keeps having to go up one floor, one more floor, next floor. I was like, I'll meet you next floor. You get to go up one more floor. And then the famous shot is Harold Lloyd climbing up a clock at the very top of the building, and he like hangs onto the clock, and the clock starts to break, and yeah. Oh, it's funny. Like, I've never seen this movie until now, and I always wondered the context of why he's climbing the building. And now that I know the context, it makes it even funnier. I highly recommend seeing it, even though it sounds like I just gave away the everything in this movie. And yeah, I did kind of spoil the end, but like you've seen the end, you know he climbs at the top. So like, when his friend goes, just climb one story, you're like, no, he's gonna climb all the way. There's so many gags in this, like it's still worth it, even though you know the ending. It's still worth it. So I highly recommend watching this movie. It is hilarious. And cut! Step right up, folks. Don't let the show end here. If you enjoyed tonight's picture, there's plenty more waiting just beyond the curtain. Follow the show on Instagram at Rambler Network. And for even more stories that spark curiosity, step right this way to RamblerNetwork.com, your one-stop destination for all things Rambler Network. So don't be a stranger and miss the next attraction, because the show is always just getting started.
The Rambler Network.